Napoleon's invasion of Russia is in tatters, and now the army that used to be the Grand Army of France, but is no longer, that is for sure, grand, is in retreat. And this glorious 4v4 NTW3 battle will see 4 French armies trying to escape the wrathful Russian army. What's up, guys, and welcome back. We're here with a glorious 4v4 here on this is on Berezina, which is a map we don't often see very often, but a winter wonderland it is, that is for sure. But it's certainly not a wonderland for the French, who are trying to get back to Paris as quickly as possible. And we do have 4 Victor Corps here. This is, I think, a battle supposedly that is like dubbed as like the battle that made Victor. Like kind of gave him his marshal's baton. I don't know if it's the Battle of Berezina. It's supposed to be that one, or whether it's another battle entirely. Can't even think if Victor was at Berezina. I thought he kind of like came up to support once Berezina had happened. I can't really remember. My timeline is kind of a little bit jumbled, but yeah, it doesn't really state what battle this is supposed to be recreating. But we do have 4 Victor Corps here marching, and they are being hounded by, I believe, 2 Wittgensteins. We have a Steinhill, and I think we have a Tolstoy as well. So yeah, we have a Wittgenstein with a combat gen, and then a Steinhill and a Tolstoy. And 3 of the Victor Corps also have combat gens as well, something to take into note for morale. Combat gens do not offer as much morale as a normal general, and here is Victor himself. So in amongst this army here, that is the man himself, the Marshal, that is going to get his baton in today's game. If it all goes well, if it goes terribly well, and he loses his life and loses the battle, I imagine he's not getting his baton. But yes, we've got a good rear guard here being taking place. Lots of Lancers of Berg, and we've got the Saxon Chevaliers, which are a pretty solid cav unit. There's a rear guard here. Not quite sure why this demi brigade has been left so far behind. It also can't square, so that's an easy picking for Russian Cossacks. But actually, yeah, I was going to say, this demi brigade over here can square. That's being used as a rear guard. That makes sense. But there is a Russian army over here, so it looks like the Russians are going to be attacking from multiple different angles. There's a Russian army in this corner here. Not quite sure which army that is. There's obviously one behind the Victor Corps hounding them, maybe even 2 armies. And it looks like there's another Russian army over here as well. So they look like they're going to be waiting for the French as they cross. That'll be interesting to see how this one goes down. So in theory, Victor is sort of partly encircled and surrounded here, but I'm guessing he's going to try and break his way through this army over here, which I imagine is the Wittgenstein with General. And then I imagine some of the other armies arriving are going to be weak ones that are going to be coming in to hound Victor. We will see. But yeah, it should be a really interesting scenario. I'm looking forward to how this one goes down. But yeah, basically the rules for this one is all the French armies have to move to the settlement of Studenica, which is here, which is this town we're literally floating on top of right now. And they have to defend the crossings at all costs. After 50 minutes, the crossings open and they can get out of there. So there you go. It's going to last 50 minutes, and then they can cross. So I don't know when exactly that time has started. Maybe from literally minute 0. So they've already used up a good 15 minutes. The coalition basically have certain movement orders. So yeah, this army over here actually cannot block the crossings. They have to attack over, go over the river and then attack the French from behind as well, along with the other 2 armies there. And then this army is isolated on its own over there. So that kind of makes for an interesting scenario, that's for sure. The goal for the French is to get at least 50% of their army out, and then they get a win. Obviously, the plan for the Russians is obviously trying to annihilate as much of the French army. And there's also a rule that Victor has to stay fairly close to the fight, so he has to be on the front lines, pretty much. So that's going to be interesting as well to see how close he is, basically, if they kind of obey that. Right now, I'd say he's not, but it's hard to say where the front line is going to start. But it does look like the Russians are going to go in for a charge here. They're going to try and take out these Chevaliers. I mean, it's a bold move to go for that. These are Uhlans, and they're not going to be that great. They're not going to be that expensive. The Chevalier, if I remember, the Saxon Chevaliers are pretty solid in most periods. It's a big unit, well, it's a 90-man unit, so I'd imagine it's going to be good. And yeah, it looks like it is going to scare off the Russian cavalry. I think the plan was to maybe just slow down the retreat of the French a little bit.
This
And we've got
building
some
has fallen
Cossacks
to the
here as
enemy.
well. They're also in the tree line. Oh no, they're not Cossacks again. They're more Uhlans. Maybe they don't have any Cossacks in this one. But yeah, they're being scared off by the Demi Brigade over here, which I presume these are just Leger, a Demi Brigade, and they are. It just suggests that maybe they are in Leger uniforms, so they're probably the light infantry, and they also are an L5. And there you go, volleys might just scare off that second Ulan. Again though, a second charge hit nearly breaks the Chevalier gun. Actually did break it that time. Required 2 units to do the job. Surprised they even sent in the Lancer Berg, but maybe not going to bother. Squares being formed, and actually the Lancer Berg's going to go into this Ulan here, route that. Will it go for the other unit? Nope, the Square's going to deal with that, and there you go. This rear guard operation is sort of being held together. That Lancer Berg there needs to be careful, it doesn't get routed. Russia over on this flank here is now also starting to make a bit of an advance. Got his guns set up already pounding. Lots of like militia type units here. That I imagine is either Steinhell or Tolstoy. I imagine they're lower point faction, well, like corps that have more like militia. It looks like, yeah, Victor's got most of his army secured over here already by this town. And now he's going to have to just wait until he can cross. He's going to have to run down the timer. Like I said, I'm not quite sure when the 50 minutes starts, but I guess we'll find out when the first unit starts to cross the river. There are obviously 2 crossings here. In history, these are the 2 crossings that the Dutch engineers, I believe the Dutch, create to cross at Berezina. So I'm guessing it's a similar sort of situation. Like I said, I can't remember if it's Berezina. I don't even think Victor was at Berezina. I'm going to have to give that generally a quick look. Someone otherwise, I'm sure, will say in the comments, actually, Pope, he was not at Berezina. I generally cannot remember. That's awful as well, since supposedly supposed to have studied in this area. Yes, he was in fact at Berezina. So I guess that just kind of makes sense to do this battle on Berezina. I kind of feel like if you're going to do it, you maybe have all of the corps that are present, but maybe then that doesn't really make sense. It's supposed to be a battle that recreated, that made Victor's name. But I think there might be, I'd say there's probably better ones that kind of Victor, you could argue, made his name. Certainly in Spain, and that's kind of how he, then gets the gig to go to Russia, because he makes a bit of a name in Spain in some of his battles there. I'd certainly say that would be a better description of what made his name. But I'm not being picky. It's a cool scenario. We don't often see Berezina, but yeah, certainly you could argue. I mean, he's at a lot of other famous battles where he kind of serves under people, but he does get his sort of his command. He does. It's sort of near the Peninsula War. You could argue, yeah, he breaks the Russian center at Friedland. Friedland arguably is probably one of his more famous battles because he breaks the Russian center. Anyway, less of me waffling about what battle is appropriate for Victor and which one is not. Let's see what the Russians are going to do next. They're bringing up dragoons. That's a more scary prospect for the rear guard of French cavalry, which is mainly just lancers. The Chevaliers have not returned. They're just retreating in a different direction now. French cav is certainly lacking. It is mostly lancers of Berg and the chasseurs, Chevaliers of Hesse and Saxony. They haven't got any cav over here at all. Got another Chevalier of Saxony here, and that's really close to the front line. They need to think about pulling that back, because yeah, it's just going to get shot here by militia. We could actually see cavalry as well dashing on up. They might try and go for a cheeky charge here. Here are some Cossacks. I was going to say surely we have Cossacks in today's game. Another charge taking place here. France actually getting the jump, it looks like, on some of the Cossacks here. Chevaliers of Hesse managed to do some damage, and they are leaps. I think that's light cav. I don't think that's life cav. I never really know with leap is if it's light, if it means light or life. But anyway, it looks like they have got out of there. The Russians, they don't fancy hanging around with their Cossacks in melee there, which is probably the right decision. But yeah, really poor here from France, just allowing his Saxon cavalry to get focused down. I'm surely he's paying attention to this. It seems like he's lost 4 or 5 cavalry members here. That's kind of poor. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's only 5 riders, but still shouldn't be just taking unnecessary losses. Especially when you're lacking in cavalry. Oh yeah, now it's like 10 or so riders. Jeez, yeah, that is poor. That's really poor. And it's a good cav unit as well, as we've already established here. There is another one actually. We've got another Chevalier. They're all bringing Karl Rayski here. One Dumnitz. Yes, if you're a fan of all things NTW3, oh, there you go. Chevalier got jumped that time. Cossacks went back for a second go of it. And they won that time. But yes, if you're a fan of all things NTW3, before we were rudely interrupted there by the Cossacks, then do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and a comment to show your support, guys. It really does help out the channel. And if you want to send in any of your own NTW3 replays, do send them into my Discord. The link is down below in the description, as always. It's the best place to send them in. This one was sent in by a member of my Discord. It was sent in by Johnny the Buffoon, who often sends in a lot of NTW3 replays, and is, you know, one of the main fellas in the Peeps channel that is responsible for a lot of the replays I get sent these days. Voltigeurs of Hesse. I feel like we've never seen Hessian units like this. We see often something like Hessian infantry, but yeah, like Voltigeurs. Certainly not. We've got the oh, these lead guards. So yeah, I feel like lifeguard be this life. I never studied German. I really maybe should have. Yeah, lead guard there. So yeah, lifeguard. It must be a it must have been a life Chevalier, like a guard Chevalier. That's kind of crazy that got thrown away and just taken up by Cossacks. That's the case. Oh, so much militia here coming forward for the Russians. There is some regular infantry in amongst them. Yeah, a lot of boys are just given a musket and just told, go into battle. And there we go. I think these are technically Morskoi. I think these are Marines. They tend to look a little bit different in colour. They have the white trousers, not necessarily what Russians have. Like that sort of outfit. With the Russian infantry. Some of them, most of them do. I don't know, maybe they are just regular Russian infantry, but they look quite small, so I know the Morskoi units are quite small. Could be wrong. Russian cav getting pretty deep and close towards French lines. So you can see there's some artillery of Berg here that is just basically just going to get taken out here by Russian cav. The French desperately chasing after it. Unless they get a volley off now and save their lives, they're going to lose his gun. Fire, boys! Bit of a gun around in the chamber. Fire! No, not to be. They're redlining, and they actually routed. That's unfortunate. The gun is going to be stuck here. But if the French cav doesn't really connect in the jet, they're going to be safe. To be honest, the gun's in a pretty safe spot. I don't think it was going to get moved from there, to be honest. So, yeah, in the end of the day, not the end of the world for the Russians. As for sure, we've got militia here moving forward, shooting the Voltigeurs of Hesse. Here comes what I'd say is the main Russian field army. Got some hussars, plenty of infantry here. They are moving forward just steadily. I mean, if I was Victor, I'd maybe try and be aggressive if you wanted to. I mean, they have to obviously stay in and around the town, but could they have been aggressive? Push back these Russians before they kind of join up. Try and take out the more like militia type corps. We are going to see a charge here from the hussars. They're going to try and charge these Voltigeurs. It should be an easy kill. We've got obviously the lifeguards right by the Hessians, but they are going to be able to form a square if they need to. They might need to in a second. I'm sure the square's going to get formed up. We'll see. Yeah, there you go. That square has been formed. Cavalry stopped in his tracks. Yellow volley boys send those guys packing. France actually sent in his Chevaliers to try to charge these. I don't think they could necessarily form square. Maybe they did. I'm not sure, but the square's going to get cut off now. As we see, the infantry's going to form up here, and they're just going to start blasting. Yeah, they're going to get out of that. But they're going to get hounded by cavalry, I'm sure. Yeah, the cavalry's going to turn around. It's going to just go in once again and just keep forcing to form square, just so the infantry can eventually just form up and get a couple of volleys off. Problem is this gun here is a huge gun emplacement here. Baden, 6-pounder, it's got 4 gun battery. Oh no, it's separate. It's 2 separate ones. Artillery of Berg and artillery of Baden. But even still, 4 guns there. Prime targets for the light cav that is coming. We can see a charge here. They didn't. Oh, they did form square. I was going to say it's a very delayed square that's formed there. But look at this. This conglomerate of French and German infantry here waiting desperately to get across. Running out of space, that's for sure. This lifeguard infantry here is doing a brilliant job. You couldn't ask for a better unit to really try and hold this rear guard. It's constantly just having to run away, like run, form square, run. I mean, that Russian cav should just stand there, just absorb the hits if it needs to, and then just let the infantry get in close. There you go, they're getting shot actually by friendlies. This is the reward. The Demi Brigade there, shooting at them. Square's going to get formed again. Need to hold fire. Yeah, I think now, as you can see, the Russians are very much within reaching distance of them. Square's going to get formed. I think the infantry is just going to blast them. Oh no, they're going to try and get out. And there you go, they routed. I think that's just because they're getting charged and they're letting get shot, and they're being shot by friendlies. That's unfortunate there. Waste of a really good unit. These guys return. There might be another one of them knocking about. Who knows? Since we have 4 victors, we are going to see a lot of duplicates of units. There you go. I guess first blood really to the Russians. Well, actually, it was the French. Actually, they took out some cavalry. First infantry blood for the Russians, that's for sure. Yeah, it looks like France is going to get most of those guns back, which is a good win there at least. Actually, is it 5 guns? It's a 5-gun battery here that we're seeing just shunt forward. It is actually an incredible amount of guns. They're going to need to set those up somewhere. You can start firing. Got horse artillery here as well, some Bard and horse artillery. I mean, they got so much in this Victor. I feel like, I don't know how much the Russians have, like, mass-wise, but I feel like Victor might outnumber the Russians. Don't know. Hard to say, obviously, with fog of war, but that army over in that in the corner over there, which has been isolated, this one we're kind of looking at now, didn't seem like it was a large force. And we don't know how much, like, Wittgenstein's got. I mean, I think we can see one of them. I think we can see Steinhill as well, but I'm not entirely sure. They're going to come in again. This unit can form square. The 37th, but it's going to need to because the guns here are about to get grabbed by Cossacks. I think they are going to get them. The Baden cavalry here, sorry, the Baden guns, they're getting routed, I think, by the Lancers of Berg. That's what routed them, really. They've got 2 of the 5 guns out, which is not the end of the world, but yeah, the bigger gun battery is gone. They might return 20 out of 30. It's possible, but they've definitely lost 1 gun carriage entirely. There's a costly retreat. They've got most of their stuff out. It's definitely going to be worse here for France. Soon Russia is going to probably relent. I think it is just about now. They're going to stop here. They're going to just reorganize, get all their armies set up and in position before they start to assault the French, I think. But time is of the essence. They do need to get a move, like I said. It's like 50 minutes. Well, not now. It's, I don't know how many more minutes it'll be. Arguably, like in 10 minutes time? No. 20 minutes time. 20 minutes time. French could start to cross. See whether they do. Yes, might be a cut in need. I don't know. It depends if the Russians start to commit here. I mean, they do have morale advantage as well. I guess that's something. Even though, like I was saying, like Victor might have more troops than the Russians here. They do only have 1 general. All the rest of their generals are combat gens. The Russians have 3 generals to use, so their morale's gonna be a lot better. Because, like, you can tell when a unit gets hit by artillery and it has a combat general as a general, it just, like, the morale just often hits, like, it often orange lines so quickly. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of blobbing going up here as well by the French. There's prime targets right now for artillery. Imagine if someone had a howitzer. That would be beautiful right now.
Probably why that guard unit actually routed, now I think about it. We've got Leger Provisional Hess here, another unit a little bit see. Provisional infantry for Hess. We've got some Leger over here as well, Barden. They're going to pull all this back. Some of it was orange lining, which again suggests combat gen. So we could see a bit of a mass rout here from the French. It goes poorly. Light infantry for Burke. These guys, some of them form squares. Handy. Yeah, artillery already set up. It's got a nice little position here. Don't know if they're maybe just. I don't know if the infantry's just kind of a bit too low that the artillery shot's going to shoot over them. Oh, rip and piece that guy. They are firing canister. I think it is hitting some of the Russians here, but not too many of them. Here comes the French cab once again. Oh, sorry, Russian cab once again. It's going to go for French guns. But yeah, they're being hit by musket balls shots here, and they're redlining. So this suggests that also is held by a combat gen. Yeah, I think this gun's going to break any minute now. Another like little victory there, because that's his little strong point. To be honest, the French hold quite nicely. Taking artillery is a big win. I think this annoyance though might. Well, I don't know. I thought the Barden cavalry here might be being aggressive, but I think it's just playing defensive. It's just going to defend the gun, but the gun might rout in a minute anyway. Like it's down to 10 out of 20. Oh yeah, that might rout it. Yep, there you go. That's routed. That one artillery hit right there just struck one poor crew member and routed the entire gun crew. Russians coming forward, plodding on forward. The Barden infantry fires and then retreats. Hit and run tactics like the Parthian horse archer. Fire when ready. Russians blasting. The French are going to retreat even more towards the town. I mean, if the Russians get into melee, like I said, they've managed to hit a army that doesn't have a general, like has a combat gen. Could be a mass rout. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously France has kind of got the rules what they're set up. I mean, I guess maybe they can't just park themselves right by the crossing. They need to stay a little bit further away. Currently, what can be kept in the front line and what can be fallen back, France could win this scenario pretty easily. Getting troops out, that is. Here come the Russians. Still waiting. Like I said, patient, being very patient. I mean, these battles last 70 minutes, and so we're nearly at 35 minutes, and it's a 50-minute sort of like timer on like how long things take. Like when we get to 35 minutes, it will be 50 more minutes before the French can start to cross. Which is quite a lot of time, you'd think, in total war, but in NTW 3, it's not loads of time. Gun setting up here. This will soften the French up, that's for sure. Citizen militia or whatever you want to call it, serfs here, they're hiding nicely, just a little divot in the ground. How much does infantry can square? Yeah, I'd say not much. Yeah, not a lot actually. If they were to strike this front line with cavalry, they would probably shatter it. I mean, they don't want to charge head on. That's also suicidal, but yeah, if you just strike it head on, you might break through. Artillery over here is pounding the French position. We've got 5 guns there set up. It's a pretty nice battery. Don't know why we have silent muskets. What do we do? Maybe the French designed a silencer to, be able to use in their spec op missions. The Laguerre, I guess, would be like the marksman and the sharpshooters of the modern age, comparable to that. Yeah, they are blasting away. Over on this flank here as well, Russia's getting pretty close. Got Jaeger up here shooting away. They are orange line. Whether this is Wittgenstein as well, I don't know. Might be. We've got Saxon infantry here. They're losing their fight, apparently. But they are orange line in the Russians here. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, the stats say losing, but morale says otherwise. Whether they could use these cheap militia units here as a bit of a screen, get them a little bit closer and then get cavalry to dash in and hope they don't hit one of the squarables. Like I said, it's not many of them. Close towards the gun it is, or squarable. Here goes French Cav, it's getting ready. So there goes Saxony, you see the gap. Going to take that gap, and he is going to go for a charge here. Here we go. Is France now going to take the offensive? Might be about to. Here goes Karl Reisky going in, and he's going to go for these units that definitely can't form a square. And there you go. That's the French going in. France is winning over here against the militia. Russia's going to counter that. His own hussars. More French cav going in. They've routed some of the Russian infantry, and there you go, multiple units there routing France, taking the offensive, and it's paying off. In goes French infantry as well. We've got those demi-brigades going in. More and more chaff being sent forward. Looks like Chevy goes there. Yeah, they're pretty exhausted. Don't think they're going to be out much use now. They need to withdraw and retreat. We're going to see a huge column of Russian infantry moving up here. And this is more Russian regulars over here. These guys might have a bit more success. Looks like Russia's kind of he's kind of trading with the French here. These the French and the men of Berg. But here goes the Russians on this side, charging the demi brigade. It's our more square, just light green, more shade of green. That's what it is. But yeah, in go more and more of the regular infantry, or the Marines, which I think is what the more square are. There you go. Russians should be able to beat most German infantry in melee, to be honest. Russians are pretty much second to none when it comes to melee. Maybe France? Held here though, the infantry of Baden. And they're sort of holding over here as well, for now. And then they have round, as they have round troops going through, and there you go, infantry of Berg rounded. You be careful there with the lances of Berg. Potentially pull through to get to this infantry here. There you go, that's going in. France is feeling the pressure over here. Russia going in again. 9. They have managed to round that one. That was an easy enough victory there for the men of Hesse. The sense line over here looking a little dicey. French is on a red line. Oh, here we go. Here comes a push from a considerable, a very scary cuirassy. I didn't even realize we had them available in their roster. We're going to see a cuirassy charge here, and it looks like into non-squareable demi-brigades. In they go, connecting. Slamming on in these heavy, scary boys. Square has been formed here to try and prevent the cuirassies from being too effective. Here comes the Russian infantry to back it up. I'm going to see another charge here. This is a Dragoon going in. That is charging onto a non-squareable as well. And this could be devastating here for the French. Big cavalry charge. If these are backed by infantry effectively, they could just see a full shatter of the center line here. So far right now, sort of holding pretty well. Demi Brigade doesn't seem to be affected by these cuirassiers. Same over here, the Dragoons aren't facing the French. As I say that, they start to redline. The cuirass here, I'd get out. I think they've seen too much action. It's slowly getting killed off. Over on this side here, oh no! That's the front line there of France is breaking. Building captured? Oh, that's the French in that building. Okay, that makes sense. They're putting something in there which is smart. They're putting in line infantry a Berg. Yeah, this is not looking good, and this is bad because the Russians obviously going to want to attack here heavily and try and then cut off this retreat. I think this unit crossed, and when it was routing, it's re-rallied as they come back across. I mean, France has 8 minutes left, I think, before they can start crossing.
A unit has grown weary, sir.
The thing is, though, there's a lot of units engaged right now with the Russians. The Russians keep stuff occupied. They need to keep attacking just to stop 50% of the French being able to even get close to crossing, let alone even think about crossing. But they're holding pretty well right now as France. And Russia doesn't seem like it's got lots of reserves that he can bring up just to sort of replace the units that do break through. If he breaks through, the unit he's going to have to carry on, stand there and shoot, or he's edging back, which is allowing France also to do counter charges in some areas. This is not looking good. This is the worst spot right now for French. They've got units routing through their currently rallied troops. And Russia seems to be able to just supply a lot more fresh troops there. It's not looking so great here. Not looking so great. I mean, if they get to this line here, or... well, these are poles. If they get to the poles, that's a problem. Because after the poles, they're pretty much at that first crossing. It's not looking good either. Russia and France trading in around the town here. Russia obviously wants to stay in melee as much as possible. They get melee bonuses as soon as they join, like, the game. Like a unit that has 13 melee attack, it's an extra 2 once it joins. I don't know if it's a bug or whether it's just do. Oh, we have howitzers firing now. Where are they? Are they back here? Yeah, they are. This is the howitzers. Very nice. I mean, a bit late. Shame they weren't up here earlier because the French aren't blobbing near as much. I mean, they want to shoot further back. Victor is sort of by the front line. I think like he could be a level closer to sort of follow that rule. Russia has been mass routed here. Wow. Meleeing where they can. It's like I said, there's more success taking place on this side here. But right now, yeah, France is just kind of being just charged into Russia. Just keeps plowing into France, just hoping that something's going to give.
A unit has grown weary, sir.
Russia's still going in. Meleeing once again. The Poles now engaging. The Poles were, I think, having some melee stats as well. They might withstand the Russian charge, and they hate the Russians. They have a historic rivalry. Russia being one of the nations that helped carve up the Polish kingdom. The Poles, you know, they got a problem with those Russians. They got a a deal to settle. What's the word I'm looking for? A score to settle. A score to settle. Until I'm tired. A long day. Words are hard. Okay, there you go. Another routing Russian unit. Kind of going in unsupported. I try and get 2 units in at a time on a French unit at the moment. More Russians before. Don't know if these are fresh or if these guys have already seen action. There's plenty of columns of Russians that still come up. And Cav, we've still got a Dragoon here. The Cuirass is still knocking about. That's going to be resting up. That needs to go in once again, that's for sure. Russian Cav going in here, streaming in. Hitting squares though. He's managed to hit a Polish square. Nearly got the infantry of Saxony there though. I thought that would have been their target. House is still bashing away. Infantry of Saxony there routing. Very, very nice. Now they're going to be able to storm the building. Russia has a clear line of assault now into that building. I don't know if it's actually going in. I think the entry point is this side. Yeah, he's going in there. Like I said, it's just a line infantry Berg in there, but it's a combat gen, so there might be a good chance that they win that. France is altering its lines, so you can shoot onto the Russians that enter the building. Nice little move there. Make sure you can inflict as much damage to lessen the chances of taking that building. Russia has managed to get a Dragoon unit all the way to the gun here. Managed to route the gun, but the Dragoons I think are going to go as well. Bit of an interesting use of the Dragoon, I won't lie. But it has broken the gun, which was going to become a strong point for this new French line that is being formed up, and they are practically on the crossing at this point. They have 3.5 minutes before they can start crossing, at least by my maths. I might be wrong. Maybe they cut it's a bit longer. I'm not sure when like I said, when the 50 minutes actually started. Cuirassier going in here. Is this the same one? He's been stopped there by a Lancer of Berg. I don't know if that's the same Cuirassier as the other one further down the line. It's not. They have got multiple Cuirassiers. Interesting, interesting. That one's been forced back. Russia is now on the outskirts of the town. They are reorganizing, re-energizing their units. Big Dragoon unit here is not going to get much use. I would get it in this open field over here, but I mean, they don't really need to attack this area. They've just got to keep attacking over here. I mean, there's still a lot of French here. If they can manage to smash their way through at least the first line, the other lines, like they will retreat into the other lines behind. That might do enough morale damage to cause a mass rout. You get here getting countercharged by the Lancers of Berg. That's not a bad move at all. It's a desperate push, like I said, to try and stop this becoming a viable crossing. Already a unit on the crossing in Leger of Hesse. Lancers broke actually, and they broke the poles. And look at that, they now have access and they can kind of block off crossing it. I don't know if that unit now technically can't be involved in a battle. I feel like it would be very scummy for it to come back and try and get involved. I presume when a unit crosses, it's out of the game. It can no longer be used. The French are going to get weaker and weaker as they send more and more units across. That unit actually broke. That's not good. Russia needs to back up this here so they don't lose this ground and don't lose the initiative. The general's gone. Oh no, that's not good. How did he die? I think that's just an artillery shot. Just hit him. That's unfortunate there. Russia down a general. That's got to be like a rogue artillery shot. Routing the poles there, that's not good. I mean, that general, yeah, he was kind of like stood right by the cuirass, so I'm guessing that's why they shot him. That's all I can think of what it could have been. Or maybe friendly artillery? I have no idea. France is kind of breaking. The Russians also, though, are kind of trading just as well. But the Russians are once again right back by the crossing. This Hesse unit has come back across. It's not good for France. They're going to lose access to this one crossing. We only need one. Victor here needs to get his boys across. Like we are now 50 seconds away from crossing. At least by, again, like I said, by my maths, from the 50-minute timer began. I believe it's from the beginning of the battle. A line fight here does not serve the Russians. Demi Brigade units are going to chew them up. They're pretty big as well, 140-man units. Like for French standards, that's pretty big units. pretty nasty volley. I mean, they are redlining. There you go, Cuirassier coming in, coming onto the back of that demi brigade, and they're going to slam into another one here if they can. This one's going to form square though. That's an actual professional Laguerre. Just side charge this line infantry here, then the Dupists. We have bayonets going in, hitting the Laguerre. More poles here, they can charge into. The Cuirassiers need to do something. They're just kind of stuck in no man's land doing nothing right now. Another Cuirass charging in here. And it is into non-squarables. In goes the heavy cav. Stop slicing and dicing, boys. Slicing and dicing. The Cuirass there helping around the Dupistas. And in they go, and here go the French. The timer has begun, and you can see the columns are starting to be activated, and they are getting everything out of dodge right now. There's a lot of guys that are retreating now. That's a lot of troops. I don't know what you count as 50% as well. Hard to say. If they get a significant amount of troops out, I'll deem it a French victory. This is not looking good. Look at this. It's all going wrong now. It's mass rout after mass rout for the French. June's in here now. We've got Chevaliers of Hesse trying to hold the line to prevent this becoming a mass rout. If Victor gets out, that's also a win in my eyes. I guess the Russians aren't allowed to cross. Cuirassier here is desperately chasing these line infantry of Poland. They are now, yeah, you can see here the infantry of Saxony, and some of the French infantry is going to turn and face the rear guard. I think that Victor's going to get out of here, though. He should be okay. This Russian force over here has been a bit too passive. I mean, it's not strong enough that it can be effective on its own. But it's obviously because it's not that close to the French. These French have just been able to entirely disengage here. The Russian cav continues on, just steaming into the centre of the French lines, just to pin down as much as possible. What it needs to do, Russia needs to get what remains of his infantry and his cavalry up here. There's Russian cav back here. This Hussar needs to be activated. There's no reason it should be back here. It needs to just bolt into the French lines. So with the mass routing and the combat jets, there's a good chance they could do a lot of damage here. It is turning into a mess. It's every man for himself for the French to get back across this river here. In go the Hussars. They're going to charge in. Some brave French here sacrificing themselves so others may live to tell the tale to their wives and their children. There won't be this unit. They're going to get cut down. Enemy brigade here also forming square. They might not make it out of this alive, but they might prevent this Hussar from carrying on its rampage. There is some Russian infantry getting pretty close, but I'm already seeing a considerable amount of French troops getting across, including Victor. He is going to be across. He's not the first to cross, but he's not going to be the last man either. We got two Victors actually. Sorry, I thought we were supposed to have just the one Victor, but I'm seeing multiple Victors here. I thought they were supposed to only have one. I can see, yeah, there's multiple. Wow. Maybe they didn't have so many morale problems. I thought they only had the one, but they have, wow, they have four. Okay, that's not what it says in the rules. It says in the rules they're supposed to have one Victor and then a lot of combat gens. Evidently they changed that. But I'm guessing the Russians maybe will have generals as well then at that point, just to balance this out. There you go. More French troops routing. So yeah, I don't know which Victor you want to call as the real Victor. But I mean they all had them. Probably why France held a little better than expected. I kind of was surprised that they held as well as they did. Sometimes when they got hit by these cuirasses, look at this. There's a lot of French in it. All of a sudden could have got caught down the bridge. I don't know if that's 50% of the French forces, you know. That's not a lot of troops that go across. I'd say that's like more like a third. And the Russians are going to keep harassing. They're going to get this general here. One of the Victors is going to die. He's routed. And then this demi brigade here is so close but so far. I think it's going to get killed as it just crosses the bridge. SAR's going in. And they're going to get another general here. There's another Victor. At least half of the Victor generals are going to die. But that demi brigade might be able to get out now. Or not. Don't know. Hard to say. Hard to say, but yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of French troops that are routing here. I'd say more like a third of the French force got out. I would not count that as a French victory if you're going off 50%. It's still a considerable amount of troops that got out, but I don't think it's half. Big units here, 174-man unit got out here. Pretty intact like, units. There you go, there's a general that has gone. That's Johnny's general's died. I think there's this one here. He nearly snuck out. Yeah, I don't know how far they can continue. I presume, like, as soon as you cross the river, you're safe. Maybe this unit here is not technically safe. The 2nd E Demi Brigade getting hounded once again by the Hussars. So close, but so far to getting out of here. They can't fin. They are technically in melee. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think they are going to die. The routing troops around them, that might be GG for them. There's actually another unit that's all the way over here. Or Lancer Berg, I presume, is returned. I don't think they're going to make it through. I don't, unless they dash for the other crossing, they can do that. Don't need to go across this one. There's another crossing, dude. Yeah, there you go. That Demi Brigade didn't make it. And that is game, I think, pretty much. I think now we just have to fast forward and wait for the end results. Because I don't think Russia's allowed to cross. I guess they can farm down these units, make sure they don't return, which is kind of a bit of a shame. Because I think they're going to go anyway, just kind of bumping up their kills here. But yeah, that French Cav can technically, I guess, get out of here. But I think I'm just going to make a cut here until we get to the end results. We're not waiting for anything really important other than this Lancer Berg to get out of here. But I would say, I mean, I guess some of these French units might return that are routing here. But I would not call this half of the French forces. We saw how much was left. That is not half of the French forces. So I would count this as a Russian victory. Though arguably, I mean, the French even got any of their troops out of here alive. That is a win. And they're going to actually shell the French as well, which is cheeky with the howitzer. See if they can route any more extra French units. Very cheeky there from the Russians. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a moment with the end results. So we are back. I honestly thought we were going to have the end results. And nothing else was going to happen. But we haven't really missed too much, but Russia and France decided to start doing a line fight. I don't really know why. Just maybe just to up each other's kills. I presume the game would be over, but I guess maybe France decided he didn't want to just stand and just get shelled. So they're going to try and take out some more Russians. And they actually are. A line fight, like I said, suits the French, I think, a lot more than the Russians. Got all these like huge demi-brigade units that can shoot pretty decently. Yeah, really odd. There's literally like a minute left for the replay. I don't think Russia's allowed to cross. So I don't know why Russia also is engaging in this line fight. Like I said, both sides, they just wanted to get more kills. Also going to get more losses. Russia has actually crossed over here, technically with Strelky. It's a bit of a no-no, I thought. I'm going to see Cav going across. Are they allowed to cross there, maybe? Maybe Russia just felt like he didn't have enough to cross. Or maybe it's just the game's pretty much over. Maybe that. I think maybe just the game's over. They're just like, ah, screw it. We're gonna go in. Yeah, they said in the cuirass, and it's gonna get routed there. Yeah, it's a long way to run, and get a charge off. Yeah, really odd. I was just like, oh, maybe the battle's not over, but no, I think the guys are just kind of messing around at the end. Like I said, I call this a Russian victory because technically, if you're going off the rules that were set, France did not get 50% of its troops across for it to be a victory. That France actually did get any troops across. I mean, at one point it looked pretty bad with like the amount of. I was honestly surprised they got as much as they did across. That in itself is a victory. These guys that are going to live, they'll see that as a victory. Survival is a win. Another day that they have to endure in Russia, though. And maybe they prefer to have died in the line of battle, because at least the suffering would be over. But there you go. Hopefully the end results should be up. I think it's a pretty horrible screenshot that was sent to me, or like a picture on someone's phone. I do apologise for that. Blame Johnny, who sent this replay in. So yeah, thank you very much, man, for sending this one in. And thank you to everyone else who took part in this battle. A really, really fun one. Very different, that's for sure, to what we usually see. But yeah, a really fun one. Victor, well, this is the battle that made Victor's name. Supposedly, at least that's what Johnny's going off. A really fun one. We'll have a quick look at the unit stats. I think this is from Johnny's perspective as one of the Victor corps. He's got a demi-brigade here, a line infantry unit getting 143 kills. Very good for them. Artillery, 122 kills. His line infantry, which is in the building, getting 115 kills. That's the infantry of Berg. 112 with another French unit there. And there's the rest of his kills if you want to have a look at those. There you go, guys. That is today's NTW3 battle. Thank you very much for watching. If you do want to see more NTW3 battles, then do check out some of the videos appearing on your screen now. Some glorious ones there, I'm sure. But until next time, folks, I'll see you later.